Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's Monday. Good morning. Oh my goodness. Okay. So I first want to say thank you to those beautiful, radiant souls who wished me a happy birthday. My birthday was on the 11th, 7/11, and it was exactly what I needed. I unplugged. I spent time with family. I got really clear. And so it just, I couldn't have asked for a better birthday. And that's including 2 years ago when I went skydiving. So that says a lot. Today, we are getting into the planetary transits of what's happening this week. And previously, I was giving a lot of extra details that if you are not super familiar with human design, I got some clarity on how that could have been a lot. So, moving forward, I'm going to focus on the sun and earth gates of the transit and give you some reflection questions for those because those are important. I won't dive into the channels or the specific gates being activated unless it relates closely to the sun and the earth gates. So, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen. I'm not going to be sharing screen the whole time, but I do want you to see what's going on. So, this is our current transit. So as you can see, we still have this channel of talent being activated. But again, like I said, we're not going to dive into the nitty gritties. What we're instead going to focus on is what's being activated by the sun, which is this gate 62. And then what's being activated by the earth, which is this gate 61. So these are going to be our focus areas. And I will probably bring in this 0.3 here because in human design, there are 6 profile lines. And so this 3 is going to show up as like that martyr or that trial and error in both of these. So be like, watch out for that, I guess. So I'm going to stop my share so that I can come back here. All right. So with that being said, important themes for the 62-61 transit that we are experiencing. So it can feel like you're figuring out who you really are. It's a perfect time for thinking about your identity and pondering other deep issues, really combining that inner and outer strength. And so what helps during this time is sincerity, is imagination, is truthfulness, creativity. And this is a big one because we have, with the 61 being inner truth and the 62 being like the gate of details, recognizing connections between things and events is going to help on the road to success. So when it comes to plans and goals, you want those to come from the heart and you want them to be full of joy and you want to really just be focused on the things that are closest to your passions, to your dreams, to your goals. And so a couple of things to look out for would be fear and greed. So fear and greed within you can make life very difficult for both you and those around you. So when you start to experience this fear or you start to experience some lack, which may make you in turn be a little bit more greedy, then it's up to you to rely on logic loosely, don't go crazy, but logic and inner truth, and to try to just be yourself. But I will say, don't overly be yourself. You don't want to flaunt your personality during this period. You want to let caution, meticulousness, unobtrusiveness, and you want to have a judicious use of force as your companion during these weeks, during this week. So one also, before I dive into the specific gates, one thing that is also noteworthy is to leave global goals and significant tasks for later if possible. You can do something necessary, but not significant. So gate 61, this is this gate, and I'll share real quick just to remind you where that is. So gate 61, we have here, it's in our crown, and then 62 is in our throat. So gate 61 is the gate of inner truth and mystery. It's located in the head, which is a pressure center. And so this is the pressure to know something new, the pressure to rationalize, the pressure to the pressure to understand the mysteries of the unknown and the new. This is what brings about that kind of inner knowing. And so often, when you have this gate already activated, and so let me actually, if you don't have your gate if you don't have your chart yet, I highly encourage you to head to diamonddripconsulting.com. You can pull your free your free human design chart, and it'll give you little blurbs about each of the things that you see there. It won't go into gate specifics, but you'll at least be able to see if you have a gate activated or not. And so if you have this gate 61, you often experience light bulb moments, and you have the potential to be deeply inspiring for others. The challenge is to accept that some things are simply unknowable, and to learn to let go of rationalizing and controlling your thoughts. So we all know that emotions, thoughts, things like that, they operate on different frequencies. And so there's a shadow side, and then there's like the high alignment, kind of frequency. And so on the shadow side, because many of us are still waking up to who we truly are and who we were designed to be, we spend a lot of time in our shadows. So I want to invite you, as I go over what does it look like in the repressive shadow versus the reactive shadow, I want to invite you to think about where you've spent the most time, because that can help you when I get into some journal questions to get you to understand how you can transform that into the gift that it is. Smokey is doing weird things. So on the repressive side of gate 61, you repress questioning and searching for your truth, leading to, conformist behavior. There's an addiction to comfort. But even in that comfort, they still remain unfulfilled and restless. In the reactive form, they become obsessed with questioning and seeking answers to their truth. They rigidly focus on a single answer to feel satisfied and build their reality around this answer. And so I want to bring in a personal story, just a small one, or personal details. So we as adults, we may not always experience the transits as strongly because of our conditioning, because of a number of things. But children, they experience the transits in a way like no other. And Taylor is no different. So in the reactive form, I said they become obsessed with questioning and seeking answers to their truth. They rigidly focus on a single answer to feel satisfied and build their reality around this answer. Oh my gosh. This happened in Taylor. Oh my gosh. So she just started asking a bunch of questions and getting really fixated on answers and planning and things like that. And for the life of me, I couldn't figure out what was going on. She normally asks questions. That's normal for a 7-year-old, but it was a different level to it. And then when I did the research for gathering all of the transit details for this transit, I saw reactive and I was like, aha, she doesn't normally have this gate activated in her chart. So it being activated by the transits caused her to react and just freak out and become obsessed with questioning and seeking answers. So I just thought that was, pay attention to your children, because they will oftentimes be experiencing whatever the transit is doing up there in like the rawest form. So helpful things to consider during this time with gate 61. And so questions. What old thoughts, patterns, and beliefs do I need to release in order to align with my inner knowing and to trust it? And then the second question I want to invite you into is, how can I cultivate more mental space and be okay with not knowing the answer right away? I actually have 61 activated on a normal basis. So this transit is just giving it that double dose, that extra je ne sais quoi of like these questions. And so this, how can I cultivate more mental space and be okay with not knowing the answer right away? This is crucial because we can spend so much time and mental energy stressing over the results that we had in the past and letting fear drive us, or we can spend so much time in the future living in anxiety of what could happen. And so just really being in the space to be okay with not knowing right now. So that's wraps it up for gate 61. For gate 62, let me remind you once again. So gate 62 is in the throat right here. This little guy right here. All right, so I'm gonna stop sharing, come back here. I'm gonna take the ticker off of the bottom of the screen. Again, head to diamonddripconsulting.com, pull your free human design chart so you can see if these things are already activated in you. You may be experiencing this and you may not even know it. So I'm gonna just hide the ticker for now. Say goodbye to that. All right, let's dive into gate 62. So gate 62 is the gate of details. You have the gift of being able to organize detail in order to better understand and explain complex concepts and situations. Your challenge is to trust that you'll be prepared for the next step. So I want to really quickly show you this because I'll get into the rest of it, but that part hit me really hard because this is the transit. This is me normally. So normally I have no gate activations in my throat at all, completely open, which essentially means that I don't have consistent access to like that one defined voice. And what that allows me to do is it allows me to be able to meet people where they are essentially and talk to them in the way or ways that they're going to get it the most or most clearly, which is really great. I'm told that Oprah has a open throat. And so we can see that how that shows up with her being able to really just get in there with each of the guests that come on her show or came on her show. I'm not sure if it's still going. All right, stop sharing for that. Okay. So with that being said, when it said that your challenge is to trust that you'll be prepared for the next step, this is something that I guess, it really shows up for me. I'll get into the repressive and the reactive before I dive deeper into that. But if you already have the 62 activated, or whether you don't, you do or you don't. If you have it activated, you have extra sauce in this. If you don't, then you're experiencing this very strongly. And so it's important for you to not let yourself drown in the details to the point that it causes you to worry and over prepare and prevent you from being present. So in the repressive form, someone who has this gate uses intellect to obsess about the small things and avoid their feelings. They lose themselves in their mundane world with no creative outlet. In the reactive form, it uses intellect to attack everything outside of them to defend their own insecurities. And so they immerse themselves in detail to weaponize it against others. Very reactive. And so what I was going to say when it was saying like, It's important for you to not let yourself drown in the details to the point that it causes you to worry and over prepare. Like, backup plans are cool. Planning for, one or two scenarios that could go wrong is cool. That's being prepared. When you start to, I don't know if anyone has seen the Inside Out 2 movie that just came out, but if you have, you're going to get this. So if you are like anxiety and you have like 100 different possibilities of how something can go wrong, then that causes you to worry and over prepare, and you're not present. You're so busy living in the future that it's really tough for you to focus on the now. And so with this being activated this week, the 62, I had to really look at, where am I living the most? And I do see areas where I am in the reactive, but I feel like for the most part, I live in the repressive, that uses intellect to obsess about the small things and avoid their feelings. And this was something that I really had to sit with, because I am a to-do list person for sure. Like, I can make a list of some stuff to do, to prepare. And so one of the things that I gained clarity on during my birthday unplug was that I don't spend enough time just sitting with my being, right? We're a mind, which we listen to more often than we should. We're a body, but we're also a spirit. And I realized that I don't spend enough time connecting to my body and connecting to my spirit. And I feel like one of the reasons for that is to avoid the feelings. Like, if I have to sit with myself, then there's a possibility that negative emotions can come up, negative emotions that maybe I wasn't ready to deal with. So instead, I will do a bunch of different tasks to avoid having to sit with myself. This is something that I'm working on now because I am up for the shadow work. But it really forces you to kind of look at, like, where are you living? Is it repressive? Is it reactive? And what can you do to change it? And so giving you some questions to ponder to help during this time period. What can I do to trust that I know what I need to know? What proof do I have that I'm in the flow of preparation? Notice how I said the flow of preparation, not overly preparing. Is there anything in my life right now that I need to plan for? And second part to that question, am I over planning? Does my need for backup plans keep me stuck? For many of the coaches that I know, many of the speakers that I know, the soulpreneurs that I know and support, the need for backup plans, the need for knowing all the details and the steps prevents us from taking action, which is why one of my favorite quotes is just about feeling the fear and doing it anyway, because we create backup plans out of fear. A lot of the time, we're like, what if this goes wrong? What if this happens? And so when you can recognize when the backup plans are helping you versus hurting you and keeping you stuck, beautiful, beautiful things can happen. Okay. So that's really all that I have in terms of the transits this week. So we have the 61, which is in the pressure center. We have the 62, the gate of details, which is in the throat. And so really maximizing the gifts that live in this. One of the really important things that I mentioned was do something necessary, but not significant. And that's actually a perfect segue into the women's health part of this. So I'm still figuring out when and how to exactly calculate the ovulation day. But what I do know is that we have transitioned. Ovulation has happened because I had a temperature spike. So I'm waiting for the 3 consistent days of temperature spike for it to officially be in the follicular. But what does this mean? ovulation into follicular phase. So I'm, again, not gonna douse down all of the details fire hydrant style like I normally do, working on my oneness. But I am going to highlight this. If you are in your follicular phase of your women's health cycles, I want to encourage you to try to eat more protein and more meat. This showed up for me on the way down to my birthday trip. We had like a 2-hour, 45-minute drive, something like that. And I, for the life of me, couldn't understand why I was so hungry, because that morning I had 2 pieces of avocado toast and coffee, which is normally an appetite suppressant for me. Like that's the first thing that I drink in the morning. Is I drink, well, depending on the phase that I'm in, but that's the first thing that I drink in the morning. And usually it will tie me until 11, 12, sometimes 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And so for me to have had healthy fats, the avocado toast, I was like, why am I experiencing this hunger? I was starting to get a headache. It was a whole thing. And then I looked at my little notes, because I'm still really diving into how these cycles really affect us as women, our energy levels, like what we should be eating, what we should be doing productivity wise. Still working on the free guide, so that you can grab that, so that you can have your own little cheat sheet book as well. But when I looked at my notes and I saw to prioritize protein and healthy fats, I was like, oh, I need meat. So we actually ended up stopping at a gas station because I had to get gas, and they had the what was it? The teriyaki beef jerky, but it was like the strips. It was like the long strips. And let me tell you, I ate 1 piece. And as soon as I started eating, I was like, oh, I feel the pressure relieving a little bit. I actually feel like I have a little bit more energy. Like my body was letting me know, hey, that little avocado toast situation that you had this morning, that was cute, but I need more protein. Because I think part of the reason, and I have to double check my book, but I think part of the reason for this is because when you enter into the follicular phase, your progesterone causes your temperature to spike. And so I think just because you're hotter and you're just generating more energy just because of everything that's happening, like you just need more fuel to fuel whatever's going on down there. So if you are in your follicular phase, please prioritize protein and healthy fats, because you'll start to see a difference and a change in your body and in your energy levels. Not that you should be doing like super crazy intense things, because not follicular in the luteal phase, oh my gosh, in the luteal phase you should really be calming down, like with the tasks. So that's all I have. We covered the gate 61, the gate 62. We covered ovulation into luteal. Oh my gosh, can't believe I wrote down follicular in my notes. I was tired. But yes, that's all for this live stream. I will see you next week. Yay.